Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Hoult. And my friends, Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. Here they come!
Hello, dear fellow Marvel friends. Welcome to abombtozzzax. That's Zzzax, 3 Zs. My favorite Marvel character. This is a new show where Colin Hoult, that's me, a horrendous Marvel fan and nerd. As in not like a horrendous person who's a Marvel, but as in like I'm obsessive about them, who's been reading them all his awful life. And is desperate to do a podcast about them, of anything. Just basically, I want to talk about comics. The idea is we're going to go through all the characters on the Marvel Unlimited app, okay, on my iPad, starting with A-Bomb, going all the way to Zzzax. I've looked at it. We don't know how many characters there are. There's at least 100 A's. So I think it could be 100 A's. It could be 100 A's. So my friends are going to choose in 1 second who don't know each other. So they're not friends yet, which I think adds a bit of tension and drama to the whole thing. We've just realized there's a strong chance. I feel bad saying this because at some point we're going to have to talk about it if we carry on with this. It's a strong chance one of us will be dead before we get to like G.
Oh dear.
Certainly Z. Oh, wouldn't it be a lovely day if we get to Z?
Yeah,
oh my
100
God.
A's. I didn't know there were 100
I don't know if there's 100. So, okay, so with me is Dan. Say hello, Dan.
Hi there. I'm discovering certain facts about this for the first time here. The scale of this, right?
Dan is one of my dearest friends. He's appeared in many shows with me. You may know him if you ever saw a show called Carnival of Monsters. He was in the radio show, and he's also in it as Late Dan, the live show. That will only mean something to some people. We don't have time to talk about too much of that because we've got years ahead of us. We've got literally years. I don't think there are 100 A's. I reckon there's about 30 A's.
Oh, fine.
That's still most of a year. So we're still looking at about 30 years to do this, aren't we?
Yeah. That's
okay.
about right. Yeah.
All right. So it might speed up as we go on. Thanks for listening so far. If you're still with us, my friend Jamie Firth is here. Hooray, Jamie Firth.
Hello. I would like to suggest that maybe if we do all three of us manage to get through to the final ZZZ, then that's an immediate suicide pact. You know, we got that far. That's it. That's everything is achieved.
I actually feel really sick at the idea that we'll be dead or the world will be destroyed or like, you know, the internet will stop. I mean, that's the best of all of them, to be honest. There's probably a bonus. Or people just won't be allowed to do podcasts. Anything could happen. Well, let's come at it positively, for God's sake, guys.
We're alive now.
We're alive now. We're alive. And what's life about? It's about reading some old comics and having some very vague opinions about them. You know, I mean, there's great works of literature out there, and we're reading about A-Bomb. I'm just
Who even is this guy? Like, this is the thing. You've mentioned these two things, A-Bomb and Zzzax.
Yeah.
Do people know who these characters
I
are?
should call it something like, you know, I don't know. I don't think there's any A's that any of you will know. Adam Warlock, does that ring any bells?
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, before we get onto A-Bomb, the plan is to keep these short and sweet because, you know, we've got to do millions of them, so we don't have that much of our lives to talk about them. Occasionally, we might get some guests to get on here, but, you know, fuck that. So, Dan, what's your take on Marvel Comics so far? Where are you at with those?
Well, first of all, like, no one's commented on this T-shirt yet.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I couldn't see it. It's A for Avengers.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've specifically
Well done,
worn this.
Dan.
Thank you. Yeah, I was bought this from my auntie Pam for Christmas.
Oh, Dan
I've-
likes them Avengers, don't he? Gary,
It was kind of like that, but I haven't even seen all the films. I have to confess, like,
Right.
I'm a bit of an imposter on this show. I've got a nerdy background in terms of Dungeons and Dragons and such things, but in terms of comics, not so much. So
okay, so you're a bit of a newbie, really. So you're a
Yeah.
fan of the nerdy stuff,
Yeah.
but you're a bit of a newbie to comics. And you, and I was just saying to Jamie that Dan, the reason why I immediately thought Dan would be great for this is because Dan was given all of the Doctor Who's. This was 5 years ago, was it?
yes, something
And
like that.
you were given them all by a friend, and you made it your challenge to watch every single episode of Doctor Who. That was available because some are still lost, I believe. And I said to him afterwards, and he did it. How long did it take? 5 years, do you reckon?
It took a long time, but can I just say the ones that are missing?
Yeah.
There are some fans have made reconstructions
Wow.
with some of the the photographs and the audio,
Right.
and so I watched those as well.
Oh, wow. So you really? And did that include things like K9 and Company? This is my other nerdy thing coming out here.
I did
As
not,
in the spin-offs.
I did not go spin-offs.
No spin. Okay.
Core
Okay.
work
Good.
was sufficient.
Okay. That's excellent. But you did watch them all. Was there a
Yeah.
point where you were wavering?
I wavered as soon as it switched to colour, I'm afraid.
Oh, really? You preferred the black and white?
I did. I've got to be honest, I didn't really like most of them.
Yeah, that's what really got. So I said, "You've watched them all, Dan. Did you? And did you like it?" He's like, "Not really." I think he said I enjoyed about 30% of it,
Yeah, that's about the rough.
Right.
Yeah.
and that's incredible. So Dan's your man. Jamie is obviously, well, I say obviously, but some people might know he's on my other podcast, Into the Neuroverse, where we talk about neurodiversity. Jamie, we're not bringing any of that into this. Obviously, the whole thing's horrifically neurodiverse. The whole fact that I've decided to do this is not right, to put it in my my upbringing's lexicon, shall we say. But what's your connection to Marvel Comics? Do you have any?
I have very little connection to the comics themselves. I was more of a DC man growing up.
Okay.
Which
So comics themselves you like?
Yes. Yes, I was always just a very big Batman fan, and that kind of dominated all of that. But the Marvel stuff I've got into through the movies more recently, which got kind of progressively more one note and a bit stranger as they went.
Yeah.
But I always found them. You'd come out of the cinema and go, "Well, that's 3 hours." Invested, or 2.5 hours invested, and I had a really good time. I couldn't tell you anything that happened in them, but I enjoyed it.
Well, because they very quickly, because obviously anyone who's listening to this presumably knows something, but the Marvel Universe is this huge, expansive thing that started life in the early 60s, as in the current. There was sort of things before that, but they don't really count. And then has gone on ever since then, just grown and grown and grown and grown. And the point where it got interesting, I guess, in this way, is that they started to interact. So it wasn't just comic books in their own characters in their own universes. They started to interact. And the movies very quickly got to that point, didn't they? Where it's like, well, you can't watch that until you've watched this. You don't know who that is until you've seen that film and all that stuff. So, people got turned off pretty bloody quick. But I like the idea of just throwing us in and seeing what you make of these guys, these characters. And then at the end, we're going to do a little really unbelievably pointless who's the best character thing. At the minute, it's A-Bomb because he's the only one on there. But we've got points for originality. What did I say, Jamie? Have you got the Google? Are you able to?
Ooh.
Originality, likability, coolness,
Longevity, was that?
longevity. So what I meant by
Longevity.
that is how long you think this character could keep going. You know
And
what I mean? Is
realism.
this an idea that's
Realism is
going to
the other.
last? What was it, one?
Realism.
Realism.
How much? The note you put on it said how
As-
much they feel like a real person.
Okay. So how much you're like, well, this is no one ever talks or acts like that. I mean, I'm an actor. Hello. And the idea of being one of these characters, can you imagine, Dan, if you're an actor as well. Jamie, you're an actor as well. What am I saying? We're all actors. But if you got the role of A-Bomb, where do you start with this? Fascinating.
Well,
Some people have to do it.
I can't wait for his film to come out.
A-Bomb. Okay, so we read. So first of all, I'm going to say the ones that I made you read. I don't think I literally gave it to you last night in an ADHD. That's my last mention of neurodiversity. Moment of extreme excitement. I said, "Can you read 10 comics now?" Lucy, who's going to be joining us, rightly refused. You boys tried. These were Hulk from 2008, issues 2 and 3. Fall of the Hulks, Red Hulk. There's a colon in the middle there. Very confusing. I said issues 1 to 3, but just issue 1 will do because I read that and it's really boring. And Hulk from 2014, issue 5 and or 6. So there's a lot of Hulks going on. So obviously this guy, A-Bomb, is connected to Hulk. Who wants to start? What do we think of? Dan, what's your take on A-Bomb? Do you have got any concept of who this prick is?
Well, I mean, I've got to put my hand
No
up
swearing,
away. Right. We've already said that when I get given something, you know, like the Doctor Who stuff, I want to. My urge is to go through chronologically like this. So you said about the Hulk 2008.
Yeah.
2 and 3 were the ones, but you can read 1 to 4 if you want the whole story. Well, of course, I had to read 1 to 4 to try.
Oh, you did do that. Okay.
I did, which means I haven't completed some of the latter comics that you mentioned.
Okay,
just
that's
to put it out there.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, it just. So Abomination gets murdered.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see if I understand this correctly, because there's a lot of characters going on there. Abomination gets murdered by Red Hulk.
Yep.
But then comes back as a metal man. A metal armored.
A metal man?
Well, is A-Bomb. Has he got a metal shell round him or something?
Okay. So what's your take on who Red Hulk and Abomination are? Do you get the idea of who they're meant to be?
No. There is so much, isn't there? There's so much.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, that you're talking about Hulk 2008. That was by Jeff Loeb, who I'm not a big fan of as a writer, I gotta say. A lot of people, he did like Batman Hush and Batman Long Halloween, which loads of people love, but I think are pretty naff. But anyway, dare I say it, he's quite good at going in and smashing things up, like the Hulk. He likes to just go, you know, like what's the word? Iconoclast, is that the word? He likes to. Do you know that word?
I think all three of us look like we didn't know that word at that point.
I don't think I know the word. It's a good word though, isn't it? Iconoclast. I think it means you break down icons, I think. But anyway, what he's done here in the comic, it's a Hulk comic, and the Hulk apparently is going around and at the start quite brutally beats a guy called the Abomination. I thought that was quite powerful, the way he was beating the shit out of him. Visceral.
Yeah, it was a strong start, and
it was a strong start, wasn't it? And yeah, I think by sheer chance they're in green light, so you're not meant to realise that's the Red Hulk. So he's created this character called the Red Hulk. We all know who Hulk is, presumably. I don't think we need to go into who Hulk is. So Red Hulk has come along as a rival to Hulk, I guess, and starts by killing the Abomination, who is Hulk's kind of an evil Hulk. He's Hulk's nemesis, I guess.
I mean, this brings me to my first question, which may not be relevant to this, but how many Hulks is too many Hulks?
I think more than one.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on, and then we get into the fall of the Hulk. There's more Hulks. There's like the cosmic Hulk and stuff, and that's why my brain is struggling a little bit to get my head around all the big, strong, stompy guys, because A-Bomb seems to be another big, strong, stompy guy.
Yeah. Well, one thing to say about this with the big stomach, I did love the artwork by Ed McGuinness on that one. I don't know about you, but it felt really, I love how they were all quite thick and fat. It felt quite, like puddings. Do you know what I mean?
Chunky.
Chunky. They're not like,
guys.
they don't look sort of rippling. Do you know what I mean? They look more like big, great big puddings, different coloured puddings. I mean, it's kids stuff, isn't it? You know, a lot of people say comics are for kids, aren't they? And I go, no, it's some really good stuff. And then you look at this and you go, oh, no, it's just like he's blue, he's red, and he's green, and they're all fighting. It's like 4-year-old stuff. But then what's quite weird about it is it's like 4-year-old stuff in that sense. But then you got like She-Hulk. And I don't think she's too many Hulks. I think you can have a Hulk, then you can have a She-Hulk. I don't think you need a Red Hulk. And I really don't think you need an A-bomb.
Is there a She-Red Hulk?
There is a Red She-Hulk.
Yeah.
She comes in later. And it's one of those things I think where this is why I don't really like Jeff Loeb, because he comes in and sort of goes, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, there's a Red Hulk. And it's like, oh, what a mad idea. That's crazy. He's like Hulk, but he's red. And then I think also as it goes on, he's like got fire as well. And it's like, no, that's so shit. Because why would he have fire? Anyway, but then when you 10 minutes of thinking about it and you go, this is horrible. Make it go away. Just having a Hulk that's different colors are really idea. But I did like them. Those initial episodes had a murder mystery element, and there's a bit where he's sort of hanging around in the air vents, grabbing people, picking them off. The Red Hulk is. I mean, we're talking about Red Hulk, who we're going to get to in like 2060, something like that.
Yeah. Although, is it Hulk brackets red, or is it Red Hulk?
Oh, fuck.
Is it H or R?
I tell you what's even worse is that I've realised going through the list, they have the superhero name and their real name. So you've got to do everyone twice.
So we do Bruce Banner and then all of the Hulks.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way to shave it down. We could shave it down pretty quick, taking out the alter egos, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I don't know why they've done that. But
my biggest worry about the Red Hulk, Green Hulk thing is that's the most common form of color blindness, isn't it? So it seems a bit like the difference between red and green. So it seems a bit weird to use those two straight up front because you just can't tell.
Oh, is that true? If you've got color blindness, you see red as green and green as red.
I think it's one of the most common ones, I think.
Oh, and also 3D, isn't that made out of red and green going together?
If they stand next to each other, suddenly the whole comic has depth to it, I think. It's like, if you've got the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that I'm sure they must have tried that trick. Well, issue 4, they've sort of put their faces melded together, I think. But it doesn't do that, I'm afraid. Anyway, we're meant to be talking about A-Bomb, not this whole Hulk thing. But I did feel those first issues, I liked the mystery element, was quite exciting. I didn't like the way, though, he was sort of beating up She-Hulk. I felt quite... I don't think you'd do that now, would you?
Well, I think it happens off screen, doesn't it? Doesn't the Red Hulk blast in... And then Iron Man, I mean, I say this because I think I read it about half an hour ago. And I think Iron Man goes, oh, she's standing up to him, give him hell, or something like this. And then she comes flying back in again, all duffed up. And so fair enough, you do see her, you see the effects of
But then it feels very abusive, domestic abusive, I felt. That's a horrible phrase, isn't it? Domestic abusive. It's like there's someone Gary Busey. Oh, I said there wouldn't be anything we had to cut out of this.
It's a tough one when you've got, like, you want to have female characters who kick ass.
Yeah, which She-Hulk is. She-Hulk's, we're not going to get to her till we're about 90, but She-Hulk is quite, an individual, strong, powerful woman. And all that stuff.
But then they can't, they're going to have to be involved in some fights sometimes, and sometimes they're going to have to lose, I think. Like,
Yeah, it just felt a bit,
yeah.
bit unpleasant, especially as issue 1. She's doing something where they're like recreating the crime scene, and a guy called Doc Sampson, who I'm sure you got no idea who he is like punching her to show what would have happened. He's like recreating the fight, and she's like, "All right." I don't know. It just felt a bit. Why is this here? This is ugh. Anyway, I didn't like that. But on to A-Bomb. So he appears later on in issue 2. I'm going to check where he is, and yeah, like you say, he's like the Abomination. He's like the new Abomination, but he's blue. And
has he created? What's his genesis?
Well, I think it turns out he's been created by the baddies who are behind this, who are I think, some of Hulk's biggest baddies, Leader, MODOK. They've given this guy the powers of the Hulk, and he's become A-Bomb. And he just says, Red Man, kill old Abomination. Now A-Bomb, kill Red Man. Powerful, to the point. He doesn't mince his word. There's no side to him.
But well, maybe you could speak more to this, Colin. But I don't think he carries on talking like that. When you then read The Fall of the Hulk, and you got him and the Red Hulk working together.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of like, I don't know, like
swagger,
young person chat. Like he says the word whatevs. He says whatevs.
He says whatevs.
Yeah.
Do you think he talks like Sue Clinch? He's like, whatevs, mate.
So does that fit into like coolness? Does he become cool because he uses?
Well, okay, you're hinting on something there. This is like a mystery game, isn't it? This is fun because I know the answers. I know much more of the answers. What did you think of his look?
Do you want to go, Jamie?
Jamie, any thoughts on
like
his
blue Hulk?
Blue Hulk,
but with sort of ridges.
Armadillo feel.
Armadillo feel, yeah. He's got a sort of shell. He's pretty impenetrable.
Is there a man inside that? That'd be weird, wouldn't it? A tiny man with this big impenetrable shell.
I mean, he is a man, isn't he?
He is a man. He was a man. Now he's A-Bomb. The other thing, so the name is obviously a big thing to talk about. It's a pun, isn't it? It's not a nice pun.
That's not a great pun.
I don't think anyone should be called A-Bomb.
No.
Especially a goodie. Do you like it, Dan? You like the pun?
Well, no, when I saw the name and when I clicked on the comic, I thought it was going to connect to that somehow. So I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
You thought this is going to be like a sort of, not the word, a parody, a metaphor of the nuclear bomb.
Well, you know how like you've got, right, help me out again. Is it there's a red mask evil man is he connected to the Nazis somehow?
The Red Skull.
Red Skull. He's connected to that, isn't he? So the comics, they do go to those places at times, I think. Like
yeah, definitely.
The darker.
Right from the beginning, because all comics, all superhero comics came out of World War II, basically, out of fighting the Nazis, essentially, when there was a point to them.
Yeah, so it was possible that it could have connected to that, and maybe he was drawing some power from that. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be connected to that at all. It's just from Abomination, I guess.
Yeah, first bit of Abomination.
There is some sort of gamma links, isn't there? There's a whole kind of radiation nuclear thing around Hulks and Abomination.
Dan, you are a physicist, right? And obviously the whole heart, you're not a physicist, you did physics at uni. The whole heart, but you seem to know a lot about this stuff. The whole heart of the Hulk and A-Bomb, obviously, is gamma radiation. In real life, does it do anything? Because in some of these comics, they end up using it like a blast. You can blast people with gamma, and it almost takes on like a mystical air of gamma radiation. Is almost this kind of shape-changing gift from the gods or something. But like, does it do any of those things?
Well, in these times of fake news, it's perhaps important to revisit the facts. And I'm not saying it was a long time ago that I did my physics degree and I barely passed.
And physics has all changed since then anyway, hasn't it?
Oh,
That's the thing about physics. It's very changeable. Yeah.
But yeah, there are different types of radiation. Gamma's photons, so like light. And one of the wibbly wobbly things about how gamma radiation appears in these comics is that like Banner himself, who's like an expert, I think, on gamma radiation, when they go and see him in these comics that we've been reading, and he says, "Oh, the killer left was radioactive or something, or he left a gamma trace." It stands to reason that he has had something to do with gamma radiation or something like that. Basically, it sort of implies that if you've been hit by gamma radiation, you become radioactive yourself. Well, that doesn't happen.
That's not the case.
Gamma radiation if something's hit by gamma radiation, it doesn't become radioactive itself. So it's a little bit of a, okay, you don't leave this gamma trace type thing. But I'm happy to accept that there are certain, tongue-in-cheek.
I think it's almost the point where gamma in the Marvel universe is different, is like a completely different thing and not in any way. There's a thing like with Magneto where obviously his power is he can, if you know Magneto, we'll get to him one day, is he can control metal. But as it goes on, he can just like read minds through magnets. Sometimes he can create a magnet force field. Sure. And it's like, so yeah, it does take its own thing. But real gamma radiation, is it like around us all the time?
Yeah, Well,
is there gamma radiation in the room with us right now?
Any of us could become any coloured Hulk at any time. As I say, I don't want to claim to be a physics expert here. It was a long time ago. It's all a bit wibbly in my head. But yeah, we are bombarded by all sorts of radiation all the time. Cosmic radiation is just flooding us. Yeah.
Types. It's cosmic radiation. Marvel's first family is the Fantastic Four. And the whole thing starts from them going in space and getting hit by cosmic rays. Right.
Yeah. They would have to be more specific about what rays they're talking about, because we're bombarded by, so neutrinos, for instance, are these little particles that hardly affect us at all.
Right.
They're so hard to detect, but they are flooding through us. In order to detect them, they have to put detectors on either side of the Earth, so that as one passes through the Earth, how it's affected by Earth's mass is so slight that they need something like that in order to detect their existence.
Wow.
So all that's flooding us all the time.
Where's it coming from? From space?
From the great beyond.
Oh wow!
I think the sun probably releases some as well in its reactions.
So gamma radiation is nothing to do with any of the stuff it does in here. Does it do anything to us? Does it cause cancer and stuff?
Well, so it's a photon, I believe. Again,
right? Which is a form of light.
Go wild.
Okay.
Yes, and you have a range of frequencies,
Uh-huh.
and it's a high energy photon.
Right.
It's released in certain atomic interactions and such things. So, yeah, I think it does require a little bit of artistic
bit of a nudge
to allow this particular type of radiation to turn us into Hulks. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, back to the name, I think it's pretty grim, the idea that he's called himself A-Bomb, the more I think about it. And also at that point, he's like, one problem I have, at the point where he says I'm A-Bomb, he's in the mode of being a brainless Hulk creature. So when has he decided he's called A-Bomb? When has he come up with this really bad pun? Do you know what I mean? Is he coming up with it in that moment? Now, A-Bomb, but not, I don't actually mean a nuclear bomb. I've just shortened Abomination, will now kill Red Man.
I mean, now it's making more sense.
Does he think he's funny?
Given he goes on to say the word whatevs, maybe he just shortens words. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's a word shortener. So there we go. I did like on the cover of issue 3, he's sort of wrapped around Red Hulk, and it really looks quite lovely. As you both know, I've got a rabbit at the minute and we love having cuddles. And I think I've just started to find everything adorable because of the rabbit. And I did find A-bomb a little bit adorable. And I kind of I want an A-bomb. Not the thing that kills, thousands of people, but just a big cuddly armadillo man to just give me a bloody hug. When I was getting presents for my son, he's quite into Snorlax, the Pokemon. I don't know if you've seen him. He's a very cute Pokemon. And he's got a teddy of him. And I Googled trying to find a pillow of him because I thought I saw a pillow of him in a shop and it turned out to be a bag. Anyway, so I Googled Snorlax pillow. You can buy a man-sized Snorlax pillow that if you've seen Snorlax, he's a bit like A-bomb, but more cuddly. You can just lie on him. But it was £150 without the stuffing. So I thought, no. But anyway, looking at the way they've drawn A-bomb, I find him very cuddly. Did you get any of that? Did anyone get a sort of adorableness about him? Even though he's meant to be hideous, I mean, presumably.
I did pick up on this, on the business of him sort of starting to talk differently. There's a moment in, I think it was the second series that we were reading, where he suddenly says, "If you hate fiery explosions, clap your hands," which obviously I heard as the song. Now, normally in a comic, if you're doing that, you'd have the little musical notes next to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were suggesting that he was saying that, but I thought that's how I heard it.
If you hate fire explosions, clap your hands.
Clap your hands.
Wow. And just the clapping of the hands would cause bloody sonic booms with those guys.
Oh, jeez.
Jesus Christ. I don't think I got that far in Fall of the Hawks, I got to be honest. I read the last two. Did anyone read the two at the end?
I haven't got there yet, mate. Sorry.
They're pretty good fun. So that is 6 years later, and they've obviously decided that this whole A-bomb character is a dreadful idea. And in fact, I think they've decided the whole Red Hulk, Blue Hulk, what an awful, horrible, gross thing we've done, like me starting this podcast. And so the whole series seems to be basically the Hulk he's got super brains somehow. I'm not sure how, but he's then creating ways of taking away other Hulk's powers. And you see he's got a red one, a blue one, a green one. He's got two red ones, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's A-bomb's short history ends. So he's created, he gets beaten up by the Red Hulk / has a sort of weird cuddle with him. And then he gets a bit cleverer, says whatevs. And then Hulk decides, actually, you're a really shit idea. I'm taking away your powers. And he goes mad at the Hulk and he's like, "I'll kill you, mate." He actually turns around and goes, "I'll kill you." One of the best things about comics, my mate John said this to me years and years ago, is they're so good if you read them in like a northern accent or any accent that isn't an American accent. And every now and again I remember to do that. And when I read that, he turns around and he goes, "I'll kill you." I just imagine him in the Nottingham, "I'll kill you, mate. I'll rip your head off." And he just loses it at him. And Hulk's like, "No, come on, mate. This isn't you. You're all right." So that's his whole journey, I think. And I don't think he does much else in that time. A-bomb.
So he was made by the baddies?
Made by the baddies. Can't remember why. It's probably good. Right. If I knew it, I mean, my knowledge of Marvel Comics is encyclopedic. And then we did A-bomb and I was like, I don't know anything about that guy. But the baddies created him, I think, to just mess up the Hulk, stir the shit, created a few different Hulks. Then Red Hulk ends up turning on them and he's like, "Actually, I'm going to help Hulk." And then they all end up goodies. And then at the end, Hulk decides, let's get rid of them. But it very much clearly feels like an editorial mandate that they've gone, "We all hate this. Can we make it go away?" But it's I guess the one thing about Jeff Loeb, he's very good, I guess, at things that are good for like lunchboxes and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like the corporate side of Marvel Comics will be very excited. We can sell a Red Hulk and a Green Hulk and
use the same model.
Yeah.
We can
like
use the same figure. We just paint it a different colour.
Yeah.
My mum always used to complain with the He-Man figures how basically they're exactly the same figure. She was right. They just swapped the heads on most of them, didn't they?
Yeah.
But the body's, remember that beautiful rippling.
Go on. No, please
Go on,
finish.
yeah.
All of those beautiful rippling muscles. Yeah. Would you, if you could get a giant A-bomb that you could just cuddle, do you think that would sell to kids?
Is the stuffing included, or do I have to stuff it myself on this occasion?
You haven't got stuff yourself, but it is really spiky and hard and uncomfortable. Probably not.
Doesn't sound great, does it?
No.
I just feel that artwork is so like, do you know what it is, guys? Because I've discovered I'm pre-diabetic, so I've had to stop sugar. So I think anything I'm looking at that remotely reminds me of cakes makes me quite excited. And something about that red and blue man wrapped around each other makes me think of the most delicious gatto. This is not how I wanted this pod to go.
No.
But it kind of is, but that's what I see. Well, any further thoughts on A-Bomb before I reveal who he really is? And then
there's a reveal.
There's a bit of a reveal. It's not going to in any way shock or surprise you, but there's a bit of a reveal. And then we'll give him a rating. And then we'll say who we're going to talk about next week if we decide to carry this on. So, any final thoughts on A-Bomb?
Not if we're going to hear more information.
No. I'm
No,
excited.
you got nothing else you jotted down or anything? That's fine. So A-Bomb is really Rick Jones. This means less to you than A-Bomb.
I mean, the thing is, that literally is like the first thing that happens in these comics that you've sent us through is that it reveals it's Rick Jones.
Oh, okay.
But the big reveal was that I had no clue who Rick Jones was.
Who
No
is
frame
Rick
of
Jones?
reference.
So
Was he the naked man at the beginning? He was sort of, or semi-naked man. He was walking around.
was there a naked man at the beginning?
Well,
yeah, it might have been him.
His
I
shirt
think he's,
comes off.
yeah, he's not wearing his shirt. He's sort of got torn clothes and he's wandering around.
And
Yes, that's him.
Seriously.
Long
That is
hair.
him, and he's yeah. So Rick Jones is going to pop up later. I think he's one where we can do him again. He's in loads of Marvel comics, but he's kind of the sidekick. He's almost like a professional sidekick. And initially, he is, when the Hulk becomes the Hulk, Bruce Banner is a scientist working on gamma radiation, creating a gamma bomb. So the A-bomb is right. I mean, it does tie in a way. He's creating a gamma bomb. He's in his bunker looking through this gap. Oh my God, there's some teenager on the test field. Would you call it the test field? Wherever. On the test site.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner, being heroic, runs out, I think jumps on a bike, drives out to where he is. This teenager's just sat playing harmonica because it's like 1963. He's like Bob Dylan, thinking he's this dude, that's Rick Jones. He's like, hey man, just relax, He would have said the 60s equivalent of whatevs. Cool it, daddy-o. Cool it, daddy-o, something like that. And he's like, you're on a fucking test site, mate. And he's not in an accent.
Northern.
And then he throws him into a ditch and the bomb goes off. And the very iconic image of Banner being hit by gamma radiation, which you'll see at some point when we get to the Hulk, I guess, in 2080, and saves Rick Jones's life. So then Rick is the only person who, they end up being put in a prison together, and Rick is the only person who knows, not a prison, like a hospital or something like, I don't know. They put them somewhere. Rick is the only one who sees him become the Hulk. So for a long time, only Rick knows he's the Hulk. So he's sort of like his sidekick, but he's quite annoying. And then he becomes a sidekick to a variety of other characters over the years. It's not a great reveal, is it, to find that out? But listen, remember that name, Rick Jones. He's going to pop up a hell of a lot. And I don't think anyone really likes him. But he just keeps coming back. He hasn't been in the movies yet, I don't think. I don't think Rick's appeared. But there you go. Not a big reveal, is it?
Not when I had to learn who this person was and then,
Do you not realize it's this other person you also don't know? Do you know? Is your mind not blown by this? Okay, well, that is A-Bomb. He blew our minds like he blew our hearts, like he blew up bombs. What do we give him, guys? Likability?
I felt sorry for him. Does that mean he's
Sympathy.
likable? 'Cause
You felt
I think
sympathy.
he just felt, to be honest, he felt
actually
quite
writing this down.
irrelevant. He felt like, I'm going to say it, he felt like a sad irrelevance compared to the Hulk and Red Hulk doing their thing.
Yeah.
In that, he was just kind of there, I'll give you a cuddle, but then they just sort of carried on, the other two, the green and the red, carried on doing their thing. And
Do you know what? I think the worst thing is I think he exists for a plot point, because I think they've got to try and make you think who is the murderer of Abomination. And they're like, oh, right. Well, first of all, we'll say it's the Hulk. Okay, it's not the Hulk. So maybe it's that Doc Samson guy. It's not him. Let's just create another character it could be. Sad. So do you ever wonder if you just exist as a plot point
here on
in the
this
video-
podcast.
in this podcast?
In the video games world, he would be like mid-level sub-boss. He would be the one that you kind of get to and then go, oh, I must be about halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's got to be a bigger one.
All right, so we'll give him 2 for likability.
Yeah.
I was going to
Out
say
of
0, but there is sympathy there. He does
Are we
say
going to
what?
10 here?
5,
Going to 5, okay.
I think.
Do we need
Right.
more granularity, given there are about 1,000 characters?
What's granularity mean?
As in, do we need to be more do we need to be out of 10 so that we can differentiate between the characters? Because if
Right, let's say out of 10, but I'm still going to give him 2.
okay, yeah.
Okay. Originality. I mean, literally 0,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he's literally just like that, but blue.
Yeah. I think I've drawn one of those already. We'll pop him
And
back in.
half an 8, yeah. Yeah. Just get one of them old pictures, Doc. Just colour it blue. Say it. Call him, what do we call it? A-bomb. Right. Likeability, originality 0. Coolness. He does say whatevs.
He does say, if you hate fire explosions, clap your hands,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. I'll give him at least
4?
3 or 4.
Out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Realism. How realistic is this character? This is such a good podcast.
I mean, we have forgotten to mention that he actually turned invisible as well.
Oh, fuck, he did, didn't he?
Out of nowhere, suddenly, he can do that now. So
Why can he turn invisible?
I can't
Because
remember.
armadillos, can they turn? No, they can't.
Photons.
Is he even an armadillo?
Photons.
Someone calls him an armadillo at some point.
Yeah, I think
But I don't
looks-
think he is actually related to armadillos.
No, he's not bitten by a radioactive armadillo. Or if it is, we've not had that reveal yet.
Okay, realism.
I think we're going low.
I think
it's low. Yeah.
is it 0 again? 1. He does say whatevs.
Yeah, that's
And the thing, the clap your hands thing, that is
very real. That happened.
that's the kind of thing someone would just say, right?
All the time.
If you like big explosions, clap your hands. I mean, I'm always dropping that one. And what was the last one?
Longevity.
Oh, okay. Well,
We've forgotten him already.
very low. Okay, well, A-bomb. Should we give him? We've got to be 1, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
think
you could
so.
hardly find any comics with him in as A-bomb. There is a series. Okay, so talking about the corporate side of it, they did bring out a series which I haven't watched called Hulk Agents of Smash.
Great.
And that is basically the Hulk if he was working sort of for the government and had a gang, and A-bomb's one of them.
Oh.
So yeah, and actually the image of him on Unlimited, I think, is from that, because he looks a lot more cartoony. So I guess he really was created just as like a kid's toy, wasn't he? There was no joy in his creation, I don't think. Because I wonder whenever he came up with Abomination, A-bomb, and then just like, I'll have the rest of the day off, when Jeff Loeb came up with that. I don't know. So there we go. A-Bomb, you were the first and could be the worst. Could well be the worst.
It's possible.
Okay, well,
Bottom of the pile so
I've
far.
really got to grips with him. I mean, adorability.
Are we
I'm
adding
gonna
that
add
as a little...
Just for him,
Just for him.
8. I really want to give him a cuddle. I don't know why. I think it's weird, isn't it?
Like, I said I felt sorry for him too, so I'd be in there rubbing.
Yeah.
rubbing him by
Okay.
the
He's adorable. He's absolutely
gills
adorable.
of his
So the next character isn't actually a character. It's AIM, AIM, which stands for, well, you'll find out. Who are AIM? They're not a character. They're a group. Do we include groups? We are this go,
right.
I guess. Because I'd like you to find out more about AIM. I should have worked out what comics I was going to pick. I haven't done that. I apologize to the listeners. But yeah, I'll maybe add that later as an addendum because I've got to go and pick up the kids. Okay, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say goodbye to everyone. And remember, if you like big explosions, clap your hands. Well done, A-Bomb. R.I.P., mate. R.I.P.